There is something people notice about empaths, though they rarely have language for it. It is not about appearance, not exactly. It is something that lives underneath appearance, a quality in the eyes perhaps, a particular stillness in how they hold themselves in a room, the sense when you speak with them that something behind their face has been somewhere you haven't, has carried things you wouldn't know how to name. Some empaths look older than they are. Not worn, not depleted, though that too in certain seasons, but seasoned. Weighted with a kind of knowing that doesn't come from years alone. Others seem ageless in a way that defies easy explanation, present in a manner most people only approximate. And then there are empaths who burn through their bodies early, who arrive at 40 carrying the cellular exhaustion of someone who has lived 3 lives, who look in the mirror and recognize someone older than their history should have produced. These are not contradictions. They are 3 different outcomes of the same underlying reality. Empaths do not age the way other people age. The process moves differently in them, costs differently, and depending on what they do with what they feel, it leaves a completely different mark. Carl Jung believed that the human psyche has its own relationship to time, one that operates independently of the biological clock and that leaves its traces not just in memory, but in the body itself. What he found across decades of clinical observation was that the people who carried the most emotional weight, without releasing it, aged in ways that defied ordinary explanation, and that the people who learned to move emotion through rather than accumulate it accessed something that looked, from the outside, almost like a different relationship to mortality itself. The first thing to understand is what the empath's body is actually doing. When an ordinary person walks into a room full of tension, they register it at the surface. Something is off, people seem uncomfortable. They file the observation and continue. When an empath walks into the same room, the nervous system does something categorically different. It does not observe the tension. It imports it. The body responds as though the tension belongs to it. Cortisol shifts. The vagus nerve responds. The musculature makes micro-adjustments. The breath changes. The empath has not decided to feel this. The body has already acted before the decision could be made. Now multiply this by every room entered, every conversation held, every relationship sustained across a lifetime, every grief absorbed, every anger metabolized on behalf of someone who couldn't metabolize their own, every silence read, every subtext felt, every unspoken thing carried home and turned over through the night. The body does not distinguish between emotion that originated inside it and emotion that arrived from outside. It processes all of it as its own. It wages the same biochemical response to borrowed pain as it does to personal pain. It spends the same resources. It sustains the same wear. Jung observed that this chronic overactivation of the emotional body creates what he called psychic inflation, a state in which the inner life is so densely populated with accumulated feeling that the individual loses access to their own center. They are full but not with themselves, occupied but by others, and a body that is chronically occupied by what does not belong to it ages under a weight it was never designed to carry alone. This is why some empaths burn early, not from living too intensely, but from carrying too indiscriminately, from never learning to put down what was never theirs to begin with. But there is another kind of empath aging, and it is the one that produces that quality of agelessness people sometimes notice without being able to explain. Jung spent considerable attention on what he called the individuation process, the long arc of psychological development through which a person becomes, over time, more fully themselves, more integrated, more authentically inhabited. And what he found was that this process, when it moves correctly, does not simply accumulate experience the way a sediment accumulates. It transforms it. The empath who learns to process what they feel, who develops the capacity to let emotion move through rather than lodge inside, who learns to distinguish between what is theirs and what they have absorbed, who builds a relationship with their own interiority that is as rich as their relationship with others. This empath undergoes something unusual over time. They become more present, not despite what they have felt, but because of it. Each grief fully processed deposits something, not scar tissue but depth. Each loss genuinely mourned leaves behind not a wound, but a widening. Each experience of pain that was allowed to complete itself, to move through the body at its own pace, without being intellectualized away or suppressed into the muscle, adds a layer of quiet capacity that does not weigh anything. This is what accounts for the quality in the eyes, the particular steadiness that registers as ageless. It is not the absence of suffering, it is the presence of suffering that was not wasted, that was allowed to do its work. Jung believed this was what the second half of life was designed for, not the accumulation of more experience, but the deepening of what had already been lived. And for empaths, who begin accumulating depth early and involuntarily, this process can arrive sooner, can begin in the middle of a life, sometimes in the middle of a crisis, when the accumulated weight of carried feeling finally demands to be examined rather than added to. The aging of the empath is also shaped by something less physiological and more existential. Empaths carry an unusual relationship to time because they carry an unusual relationship to impermanence. Most people can move through experience with a certain lightness because they let things go in the ordinary way. They feel something. The feeling fades. They continue forward. The event is over. The chapter closes. For empaths, chapters do not always close completely. The emotional residue persists. The person who was unkind a decade ago is still in the body somewhere. The relationship that ended badly left something that language cannot locate precisely. The child that was not protected in the way they needed, that child is still present, still asking for something. This is not pathology. Jung was insistent on this point. The psyche's refusal to abandon the unresolved is not dysfunction, it is fidelity. It is the self's commitment to its own wholeness, its insistence that nothing essential be left behind. But it does mean that empaths carry a longer past, a more populated interior, a history that does not thin out with time the way other people's histories seem to. And this too is why they can appear to be aging differently. They are not living in sequence the way most people live in sequence. They are living in accumulation. Each moment layered over all the others, still permeable to them, still in contact. What Jung found is that the outcome of this, and whether it produces exhaustion or depth, depletion or presence, depends almost entirely on one thing. Not resilience, not strength in the ordinary sense, completion. Whether the empath allows each experience to complete itself before moving to the next. Whether the grief is fully grieved, the anger fully felt, the loss actually mourned rather than survived and archived. Whether the body is given time and permission to process what it has been given rather than being pushed forward before the processing is done. Incomplete emotional cycles do not disappear. They compound. They join the existing accumulation and increase its weight. They make the body older than the calendar. They make the eyes tired in a way sleep cannot reach. Completed emotional cycles do the opposite. They contribute to depth without increasing load. They add to the richness of the inner life without adding to its burden. They are the mechanism by which suffering becomes wisdom rather than weight. Jung would say that the empath has a choice, though it rarely feels like one. Not the choice of whether to feel, that was never available, but the choice of whether to complete what is felt. To follow the emotion all the way through, to sit with it past the point of comfort, past the point where the mind wants to intervene and explain and manage, all the way to the place where the body releases what it was holding. You have felt more than most people will feel in their entire lives. You absorbed it, metabolized it, carried it forward when no one asked you to, and often when no one knew you were. Some of that has aged you in ways you recognize when you catch yourself in certain kinds of tired, in the weight behind your eyes at the end of days that should have been ordinary, In the way your body braces before rooms, it has learned to expect something from. But some of it, the grief you allowed, the pain you did not rush through, the losses you sat with until they were genuinely past, that part of it did not age you. It deepened you. And depth, unlike exhaustion, does not show up in the face as cost. It shows up as the quality people notice and cannot quite name. The steadiness, the stillness, the sense that behind your face there is more room than most people have. More of something that was lived and is now simply, quietly, there. Jung called this the harvest of a life genuinely felt. You are not aging the way others age. You are aging the way people age, who have actually been present for their own lives, who have not looked away, who have carried what they carried, and set down what they could and felt everything in between. That is not a burden. That is the whole point.